Welcome back, everyone. You are watching the Bacchus Pro Gaming Series 2017 Summer Split. Drive your energy, and we will be your shoutcasters for the second match. I am Vulcan, and joining with me is Arctic. We just coming in from the first game, concluding with TNC denying the clean sweep from Asian Arena with a 1-1 score.
Yeah, but still, gotta give my kudos to ASA. Just when people were starting to discount them after that unfortunate 0-4 during week 1, boom, they come in strong against probably one of the strongest teams in the PGS right now. So way to go. This goes to show anything can happen in the PGS.
Anything can happen in the PGS. Everything is new. So looking at the schedule to see what's coming up next, the second match will be Infused Esports versus TNC. I mean, Infused, also a new team, but they performed pretty well in the first week.
Definitely. I'm pegging probably Infused, one of the best newer teams coming into the PGS right now. Of course, it's going to be a different test altogether as they go up against TNC, another team which has actually seen some pretty good roster changes, acquiring Hayes, acquiring High, acquiring Endless Ace, who are actually one of my favorite pros personally as of recent past PGS split. So whether or not they could actually come together and whether or not this translates to actually being a great roster, we'll just have to see as the split goes on.
And to the viewers out there, note that we are still running our exciting promo, the Share and Win. So here are the mechanics for the Share and Win. First off, you need to like our Facebook page in order for you to look at the video first. And during the stream itself, you will see a hashtag code. You have to use that hashtag code in Facebook, share it in your timeline publicly. But make sure when you share your post, the link to our stream, the PGS 2017, is there. I mean, you know how to share a video, right, Arctic?
Yeah.
It's easy, right?
Definitely.
So when you're watching the video itself, right now, actually, the stream, you can actually click the share button and share it publicly in your timeline with the hashtag. There'll be 5 winners for that, so you have to be tuning in and be excited for it.
Definitely. You know, if you want your chance at the skin, we'll just have to see. But let's go ahead and check out the standings here. I mean, Team Manila Eagles, of course, performing absolutely beautifully. Of course, we'll have to see whether or not Infused Esports can actually climb a few spots, maybe, if they could potentially go for another 2-0, overtake Mineski, and go up to par with Team Manila's. Or will TNC Pro Team actually be able to get out of their slump right now and go a few bars higher than the competition right now?
So let's see how this will fare on Infused Esports. Faring pretty well so far in the standings, whereas TNC, they have 2 games but 0 points so far. They have to bounce back from this, since this will be their second 2-game series in short, will be 4 games. This is going to be huge. Definitely.
And of course, before we head into the bans right here, of course, I would like to give particular emphasis that it is actually going to be calculated. That will be subbing in for XDXP for Infused Esports. And of course, for Orthros, it is going to be Endless A. So again, very interesting here. What I actually really like about this, it's the battle of former teammates. Calculated versus Endless A. Both on AEX previously, now on different teams. We'll just have to see who comes off the better trade, I'd say, as to
who's the better commodity.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly. That's like, that's the best way to put it.
Who is the better bar of soap? Is it Calculated or Endless Ace?
Yes. Sino bang magpapa? I don't want to dig deep into that. Let's go into the bans anyway. So for the bans for Infused Esports, it's going to be Caitlyn, Varus, and Karma. And for the bans naman ng TNC, we have Ezreal, Saya, and Elise. So I actually like how there's particular emphasis. I love the respect that they're giving to High right now. Actually, it goes both ways. It's double-edged. There's the level of respect because High, I actually consider one of the untapped great AD carries of the PGS right now. I feel like we haven't seen his full potential yet, but I feel like once that's released, boy oh boy are we going to have a great ADC in High. But of course, there's also that question right now as to his AD carry pool right now. So there's also that part wherein he's actually quite limited in what AD carries he could actually bring out right now. Unless, of course, TNC worked on that during the scrims. But of course, we'll just have to see how that translates later on. And yeah, I mean, going into the picks right now, so Zach going to be locked in for Calculated. Very great. One of the most solid junglers we have right now. And then as a response, TNC going to be locking the Gragas and Thresh. Of course, that Gragas can be flexed, and Ashe, Zyra, Jhin. So I don't know. What do you think about this Vulcan so far?
I mean, knowing that Infused Esports actually picked the Zac for their highest priority, I mean, Zac does have a really amazing tool for ganking. Not to mention, Also, his ability to go in and out of a team fight. Also for sustained CC. So I think that's understandable for Infused for taking that into consideration. But on TNC's side, last picking a Darius is also a really good idea, knowing that the top laner will be Galio. So it's going to be very difficult for top laner to even fare against well with a Galio in the top lane.
And you know what I really like, what I'm really excited about is Haze on this Vladimir. This is the Vladimir that allowed TNC to maintain their spot in the Pro Gaming Series. So once again, we'll be seeing him flex some muscles a bit. And I'm really excited because Haze is another one of the stronger players, I'd say. If not, probably underrated, I'd say, as a player. I actually consider him very, very strong. So I'm actually happy that Pro Team picked him up once again. He performed very consistently well on La Liga Pilipinas last year. So going into the split, I'm expecting great things from him once again. But of course, we'll just have to see how that translates as we go into our game later on between TNC versus Infuse. I'm getting chills, man.
If you put it that way, Arthur, it's like, who is the real royal blood coming in from the Empire? Is it Endless Ace or Calculated? Who is the half-blood of the king?
Half-blood.
So this is going to be very interesting, knowing that we are seeing two members who, in my opinion, played a lot together. I mean, for two splits together. But right now, here it is, the final rundown of these both teams. Infuse Esports against TNC Pro Team, with Calculated in the jungle and Endless Ace as the support, both coming from AEX. Interesting to see how they will fight against each other.
Oh yeah, these matchups are going to be very juicy indeed for both sides here, and I'm just really excited to see how this will translate going into the early phase of the game, because I'm expecting a lot to happen, especially when you have champions such as the Zac, such as the Gragas, which actually has some strong roam potential as well, strong gang potential as well. So I'm expecting a very explosive game one for our second match of the day.
And not to really, in a way that TNC Pro Team did perform well in the last split. They almost made it to playoffs, but they lacked that certain player who didn't perform up well. And I think they've got it. I mean, the support, Endless Ace, I think that's a good catch for them. Whereas for Infused Esports, they have shown themselves in the last split very long time ago. But right now, having Calculated as their jungler, this is a huge step up, a huge upgrade for Infused Esports.
Yes, indeed. But yeah, I mean, again, you still couldn't discount Endless Ace though. If anything, I actually consider Endless Ace one of the smarter players that we have in the PG as far as the game knowledge, as far as what he brings to the table, in terms of the strategy that he could bring to the team. So, I mean, sure, Calculated is actually probably one of the superstars that we've had. It's very much established. You know, he's had a great split with AX, probably one of them, again, a very consistent player. But of course, you can't discount the fact that it's kind of what I feel, a player that's mechanically gifted versus a player that's very versatile in a way. Because Endless Ace, he's played a lot of roles, man. So
that's why he's in the sub.
Yeah, he's in the sub. Grants him that flexibility to jump from position to position. So, and of course, it's a double-edged sword, though. You have the flexibility, but you're kind of the jack of all trades, but you don't really have a particular specialty. Exactly.
So, guys, before we go into the Rift, here is our featured matchup to see how the second match will turn out. There it is, our featured matchup. But right now, on to second match of game one with Infused on the blue side against TNC on the red side. We did see our featured matchup, Envy and Burst, interestingly.
Yeah, I mean, these are two of the, I'd say, one of the better talents of each team. So definitely players to look out for, not just the split, but for just generally career-wise. You know, I expect a lot of great things from Burst and Envy.
So, how do you think this is gonna fare, Arctic? I mean, Lando Nadarius, he likes to play very aggressive. Just goes to show in his champion pool.
I feel like actually Lando is one of the strongest players in the PGS right now. Very fresh talent, coming off very strong during the spring split. So again, yeah, I mean, how Pandars will actually fare against Lando, that's actually something I'm yet to see. So we'll just have to see how that actually transpires in this game here. But of course, aside from the top lane there, I'd also like to give particular emphasis on, again, for this bot lane for Infuse, Liar and Sachi. Because if I think Infuse, I actually think players such as Envy, such as Pandars. Liar and Sachi, they've actually had a decent week 1. So I'm really hoping that they step up to the plate going into week 2. Because I know they have that potential. It's just that we haven't quite seen it yet within the recent games. But here we go. We actually have TNC spawning out Infuse. So that's actually a lot of information.
I think Hai is trying to get some shots over those creeps. However, the smite has been used for the Raptors with Hai and Endless Ace investing a lot of time. They're gonna miss some CS in the bottom lane.
And you know, if anything, that's actually unfortunate because I actually like the strategy. It's just that at the end of the day, they weren't able to deny a single creep from that invade. That being said, if anything, they only gave a good leash for Calculated.
So it's like an extended leash. So Endless Ace really helping out his teammate, ex-teammate in the long run. But they are now enemies here. But I gotta say, I felt something there from that equation. With Endless Ace, I mean, showing himself to his ex-teammate, you gotta expect something interesting in the second match.
Yeah, it's definitely something to look out for here. It's the battle of the ex-teammates. But then again, it's another story here as Infuse Esports wishes to prove themselves in a way to be a stronger contender in the PGS. Of course, there is that kind of slight mindset wherein you underestimate these newer teams just because like all these other teams, TNC, Neski, IPT, they all have the experience. But of course, you can't discount the fact that teams such as Infuse, such as Asian Arena, they bring in like fresh talent and something that you want to look out for. But of course, going to this laning phase right here, I'm actually interested. So Hayes actually a wave up on CS right now in comparison to Envy.
Yeah, when it comes to laning, you did mention something about Liar against Hai. How does Hai fare against Liar? I mean, Liar and Sachi, as you said, they've been showing some promise in the first week, but that kind of went outside the window when they were facing some really experienced teams. But knowing that Endless Ace was Hai, I think Hai, is, as you said, does have some potential to be one of the better ADCs in the PGS. But how will he fare against Liar?
I think he'll actually, if anything, like I mentioned, experience is a huge thing. So I feel like Hai, plus the fact that he's teamed up with a seasoned player such as Endless Ace, this actually makes a great bot lane duo. I actually like the sub coming in from TNC here, using Endless Ace over Orthros. That being said, again, the experience. I feel like the thing with Hai, because I've worked with Hai during the previous 2 teams, I know he has such great potential to become probably one of the best AD carries in the Philippines right now. That being said, he just needs to support that could guide him. But looks like this
that's
could be the
not
gang.
Here comes Burst for his first gank of the game. Liar has been exhausted, but it would be the hook securing the first block for his teammates. Instead, it would be Burst getting the first block. But in the mid lane, we do see Calculated going for Haze. But that's a tricky Vladimir, slippery indeed. Too much time invested is gonna backfire.
Yes, indeed. And this is the tricky part here. I'm actually like that there's pressure, but it's very hard to get to Vladimir.
Man, Pandars is in a big trouble. He does force out his flash. I mean, you do not want to keep fighting against the Darius when you see that buzzer.
Definitely, but actually here comes Burst showing some presence here in that mid lane. But yeah, again, this is what I've been talking about here. Hai with such a knowledgeable support such as Endless Ace, I feel like it definitely ups his game, makes him much more strong, makes a very strong bot lane for TNC. That being said, in a way, the coordination, it allows Burst to, I feel like there's going to be a lot more presence. That's probably not going to be the last gank that we'll see of Burst in this bot lane here because of the great coordination that he'll get from players such as Endless Ace and Hai.
I was expecting, though, the first block onto Hai. As you said, Hai is this fresh talent. Something that you would expect to really perform. But if you don't give a lead or a resource to this fresh talent, will he perform that well in the bottom lane?
Exactly.
It's the fact that the first block went to Burst. I mean, he does have the 400 gold, but will he use it enough or efficiently, knowing that he will be pressuring the bottom lane? You see Liar does a double CC, triple CC lock.
Oh man.
Whoa, TNC hold it a bit slow.
Just like I mentioned, this is not the last we'll be seeing a person. Just probably less than a few minutes after that, he goes for the gank again. I don't think Infuse was expecting such another gank so soon. So,
wow. I gotta say, man, TNC, they know that if they spot a mistake in a certain lane and Burst got a first blood, it's like Burst already marked his territory. It's his rotation pressuring the bottom lane.
Yes, there. Ooh, here we go. This is gonna be a true test for Infuse because during the week 1 they went up against one of the newer teams, so they're going up against a team which actually has a split of PGS experience. That being said, they really have to play this a little bit more smarter. If anything, they really have to get their vision gain on, because that's what I've noticed. Liar and Sachi, they weren't able to establish a certain level of vision, which actually allows Burst all the leeway in the world for those easy ganks. There's 2 easy ganks that he was able to get onto Liar. So again, Infuse has to really look out for their vision. I'm actually surprised because, if anything, Infuse Esports is actually one of those teams which I actually praise for having great vision, especially during promotionals. So I'm actually surprised that they didn't exhibit that same level of presence that they had during that promotional as far as establishing that level of control and vision.
So I think Calculated feels a bit injured in his pride, going for ganking in the bottom lane, but Burst really marking his territory. When he gets the first blood in the bottom lane, he makes it to a point that not just the bot lane is his territory, but also the red side of Infuse. Calculated on a Zac. Zac as a jungler, I mean, I gotta say, great clash potential. I mean, not just the sustain or the sudden burst from the Let's Bounce, but also the type of CC he brings into a fight.
And you know what's actually worrisome here is that, if anything, because Burst has actually committed a bit of time to his ganks, one of the ways Calculated could have, one of the expectations that I've had is Calculated would at least be up a few CS on to Burst, but not even that though.
Not even close for Calculated.
So it's...
Oh, he denies the slingshot knockup. Calculated, very low on health. The explosive cask is used to just help him escape with the flash.
Oh man. Again, I'm actually quite surprised. This is different. I wouldn't say different, but I'm somewhat surprised by the lack of proactivity thus far that we're seeing from Infuse Esports. So hopefully, then again, of course, if you're gonna look at the composition that they have, the time that I feel like they'd really start getting things started is once across the board everybody has their ults. So now that that is a factor right now, maybe, just maybe, we'll start seeing some level of finesse from Infuse Esports right now. And it looks like, here we go.
It's the fact that Calculated is choosing the mid lane for this ganks rotations, but knowing that that's a Vladimir, you gotta take note of that. And now Burst, feeling really confident. He knew that 2 members were gonna face check him, but he still stood there, thinking that I have this mobility, and if ever Calculated goes into me, I'll just slam him away, deny his knockup.
And you know, oh, there we go though.
And here it is though, Hayes managed to escape with the ghost expanded, but Calculated though, used the less bounce.
What I'm finding problematic here for Infuse Esports is that there's a certain lack of disconnect, and there's a certain disconnect and lack of coordination between Calculated and Envy right now. In order to get a successful gank onto Hayes, Envy wants to put Hayes in a position wherein he actually forces the Sanguine pull out before they could get it, before Calculated could actually get a gank. So that being said, unless that's a coordination that we see behind the scenes, unless that's a coordination that actually happens behind the scenes in terms of communication between Calculated and Envy, it's pretty much moot to actually get a gank onto Hayes because of that Sanguine pull in itself is such a huge deal. You know, if anything, it's actually one of the tools which actually makes Vladimir such a hard champion to gank during the laning phase.
Yeah, if Hayes has that much tools, why don't you just go for Darius? One of the lowest mobility or to no mobility champion who can't escape a gank if he does not have his flash. Go for Darius, but seeing how Lando likes to play very aggressively, but Burst goes in for the flash in, body slam combo with an explosive cast, but it will be in the flashing away was still very relatively healthy, but it would be Endless Ace cutting an escape with the hook line sinker with Burst on a really good spree right now, 201 KDA and transitioning towards an Ocean Trade.
Oh man, TNC is on fire this game. just it's quite evident for me that TNC definitely a step ahead throughout most of what we've seen thus far. They're usually a step ahead as far as planning when they should be ganking, when they should get their roam on. So it's actually quite a worrisome trend. If Infuse couldn't read this, then
oh, Liar! You gotta respect TNC. They just took the Ocean Drink and you go in like that. You will take a prize. Burst goes in onto Sachi. He does flush away and Teleport will be up short. It would be Lando apprehending Liar. Goes in for the dog, and there's the passive. Now Lando though, he can still go in. Gets a Decimate heal instead.
Oh man, the clutch heal coming from high. That came out absolutely beautifully for TNC. And yeah, Infuse really needs to pull themselves together because I'm loving the proactivity from TNC right now, first off. Not to mention the fact that most of the plays that TNC has been making pretty much leads to success is actually what really makes this work out for them, as opposed to Infuse Esports. Like I mentioned, Calculated, we have been seeing some attempts at ganks, but let's go ahead and check out that replay first and foremost. So, as you can see, Liar was actually attempting to go for an Enchanted Crystal Arrow in that, but of course, let's go ahead and check out the action here in live, though. We might actually see something maybe. So, but yeah, as I was saying, the thing here is that as TNC has basically most of the ganks, most of the roams that but here we go.
The Riverside Calculated takes in 3 members, but I don't think that's a good idea. TNC says, hello, thank you so much, Calculated. Will be taking from here. He is on cell division, but I think Sachi is forced to watch his teammate die, and he eats up the body slam.
Oh man, I'm not sure what that was. I feel like that was a miscommunication on Infuse Esports part. That actually would have been a great but as Rockhart would put it, a great kidnap from Zach right now. But the problem was that Envy wasn't in the vicinity to follow up. So again, I'm actually quite surprised by the lack of, in a way, I'd say a lack of coordination from Infuse right now.
It's like Sachi was just sitting on a chair and watching his teammate die in horror.
I think one of the tricky parts here is that, because I've been following a lot of these teams during the Piltover's Finest series going into PGS promotionals. One thing that I really like about Infuse Esports, and I feel like what makes them such a solid team, is the shot calling from there.
Oh, Envy though manages to walk some fancy footwork, but onto Hayes' burst with a Sanguine Pool. That's not going to work out.
Oh man, what a Infuse! This is quite a different trend that we're seeing. But
they're getting demolished.
Exactly. I wanted to find a word to put it moderately, but yeah, that's actually the unfortunate truth right there. But that being said, one of the things, there's like clear disconnect coming from Infuse right now, and I feel like it's coming from the fact that they subbed and calculated for XDXP right now. XDXP is actually one of the players who I consider one of the driving forces here for Infuse Esports, which actually makes Infuse Esports such a great team when you have such a solid shot caller. But without a solid shot calling from XDXP, this is the Infuse Esports that we're seeing. A little bit of a disconnect, a lot of disconnect actually. I wouldn't even put it in a little. So it's definitely something Infuse Esports needs to consider in later matches, because this type of setup for them, as far as what they're working with right now, definitely not working for them.
Yeah, and just goes to show how Calculated is having a hard time ganking a Vladimir. A Thresh with a Lantern, and not to mention, very scared to gank Lando on that Darius. When you gank a Darius, it's like you're giving a double kill, but here comes the Express, but also the current call. Change of time, maybe not. It would be Infused. Sachi's taking up a kill with Birds getting a trade-off. Calculated is still very healthy, still going straight in. But Liar lacks that damage.
Finally, we do see at least Infuse Esports getting a successful kill off of TNC. Whether or not it actually contributes to the bigger picture of keeping up to par with them, that is still something that's a huge question mark for Infused Esports right now. But yeah, I actually like the point that you brought up about Calculated. Could have potentially ganked Lando, because like you mentioned, Darius has it's actually quite immobile. But before I get into that point, let's go and check out what transpired here. So actually get a great Enchanted Crystal Harrow opening from Liar here, but the problem though is that the reason why it resulted to 1-1-1 is because Sachi was quite heavy on the front line, which allowed Hai to just get that curtain call onto him and deal loads and loads of damage. So it actually could have gone better for Infused Esports, but again, it's not a bad trade-off. Could have been better.
Yeah, 1-1 is not a bad trade-off, but it's the fact that the kill went to Sachi. So maybe in the long run, Satch is going to deal more damage than Laya, which does spell trouble when you're going to the mid game.
Luckily, that is a Zyra, so it's somewhat acceptable-ish, but still, like you mentioned, it's still much more optimal if it went to a carry such as Lyre. So, but yeah, going back to the point about gankability in Lando, that's a Darius. So, like you mentioned, there's a certain level of immobility, but then again, the con here is that when you have a Galio and a Zac at the same time, you don't really deal as much damage.
Yeah.
If that were perhaps a carry champion, it would have made sense. But then again, Pandars is running triple Doran's ring, so that's a lot of damage coming from the Galio. We actually have seen Pandars exert that, such huge damage during Wake 1 on that Galio, so it kind of goes both ways for me.
But we're talking about Lando. He's so aggressive. He's fearless in top of that. His pull, he did play the Renekton once, and just goes to show how ballsy it is, but I think Burst is even ballsier with that flash body slam again. Haze is on a killing spree, and I think Envy is getting tired of it.
Oh man, I'm pretty tired indeed. 0 and 3. You know, it's not the best position. Calculated, trying to balance things out, but couldn't really do anything. That is more of a tank attack. So
wow, the flash in body slam. When you, I think for Envy, he should have a stopwatch with him. Every time there's a gang happening, do that 300-second cooldown. 5 minutes.
Exactly, but you know that's the tricky thing. It's kind of hard because Burst has been somewhat unpredictable in his ganks thus far.
Oh boy. Calculating, aiming for a steal. Will he go for it? Here comes the dive, but gets denied by Flame! Endless Ace did the really dirty work there, just foiling the effort of his ex-teammate.
Oh man, Infused Esports, things are just going south for them way too fast for this in this game. If anything, I mean, it's TNC actually having a ball right now. But yeah, I mean, if I were in Calculated shoes, I would actually understand that it would actually be tricky to figure out which lane to gank, because if he were to gank top, like I mentioned, Pandars, he doesn't really exert as much damage, not to mention any damage that they wouldn't deal, which isn't instantaneous, would actually be healed up because of Darius' sustain in a way. Also, going into mid lane, of course, like I mentioned, Sanguine Pool is a problem for Vladimir. The bot lane, all Endless Ace needs to do, if he doesn't get caught out, is just use the Lantern to save high. So it's actually quite the predicament that Calculated is in.
Oh, flash in upper hand. Lando is really scary, forcing out Envy's Ghost and a Protobell on top of that. Really, Pandars is there for the rescue. I think a lot of resources was burned for Envy for that.
Oh man, one way in
that wave clear is surprising for Sachi, forcing out his slash, but Lyre manages to get some hits off. It would be Endless Ace with the Ignite, securing the kill. Because the fourth bullet, it connects!
That oughta hurt, man.
Endless Ace though, did not see that coming, really aimed for that kill, and now the less bounce. He actually just walks away from that.
Oh no, but
and
here
now
comes Burst though.
It'll be a 1v1, but it will be a 2v1. Burst goes in, trying to deny that slingshot, fails.
Nice sidestep there by Calculated. But yeah, one of the things I could actually see Infuse doing in order to get back into the game is, first of all, they actually...
Wait, it was like, sorry to interrupt the article, but it was like Calculated picked up the kill on Endless Ace, right? So
yeah,
that's what you get for stealing my glory time in the Dragon Pit. But okay.
Yeah, I like how you pointed that out. But yeah, as I was saying, one of the ways Infuse Esports could actually get back into this game, of course, they want to avoid as many casualties as they can because they're giving TNC the abundance of that. Not to mention that one of the ways they could actually thrive is that once they start grouping up, because I definitely see the potential, you know, Pandars and Calculated could actually provide a great front line. And then they have all the tools to actually make later clashes work for them. It's just that they've given TNC such room to
snowball.
Exactly, and it just makes it all the more harder for them. This is where the restraint comes in, and it's somewhat lacking from Infuse Esports right now. You know, they weren't really able to figure out how to make this composition work for them. Going up against, you know, the win conditions. At the end of the day, it's all about the win conditions, and it's not as definitive. It's not quite definitive for Infuse Esports right now, and as far as accomplishing them.
Yeah, and also their win condition is don't make mistakes like this. Now we see TNC Burst going for that, eats up that stun. Here comes the teleport from the top lane. Lando will join it shortly, but will it be in time? We do see that Lando is stuck between 4 members of the Infused Esports. It would be Sachi going in for an escape, maybe not. He's trying to find though. There is the hero's entrance, but the current call misses. Sachi dodges everything, but it'll be Lando securing the kills and cleaning now with a double kill dog, making a triple. That is a triple and a flash in crit shot from high.
Oh man, this is the difficulty that Infuse Esports is having right now. Like I mentioned, going into these clashes together, technically they would have made actually a great 5v5. But the problem is TNC is so ahead right now they couldn't even win these 5v5s, which technically could sway in their favor. So it's just so tricky for Infuse Esports at this point because of the fact that they gave TNC so much leeway to snowball. So let's go in and check out what happened here. Again, this is Infuse Esports getting their roll on. So teleport's actually coming in from both sides here. So this is what I actually note here. Lando, because of the lead that he has, not to mention members of Infuse Esports, you know, they can't really do much. They couldn't really contest that, especially with Hayes in the vicinity. Invi actually arriving a little bit more later, and plus the fact that if you look at Lyra, look at Sachi, they have to restrain themselves to the backline because of having such low health. So again, there's just a clear lack of follow-up at this point. So ultimately, it's not just the fact that Infuse Esports is behind, it's also the fact that the disconnect, again, it all comes down to the disconnect that we're seeing. Envy was late in that fight, and so many things went wrong for Infuse Esports in that clash.
Yeah, and the clash was supposed to be abandoned already. I mean, when you see Darius, especially a player like Lando, already chaining up, connecting those dunks and the passive, you have to just get out of there. I mean, get out of there as soon as you can. And if you actually stay and extend a team fight, that just spells happy for Lando. And here is Calculated going in for a slingshot knockup. High though, where's the lantern? Ah, it gets denied. We'll bring you back to the turret with Sachi picking up the kill.
Oh man, finally we actually see a great gank with good level coordination from Infuse Esports, which was, again, these are the type of plays that I've been waiting for Infuse Esports to make, even within the early phases of the game. I mean, sure, they wouldn't be able to make such plays pre-level 5, but like, once they hit level 6, that was supposedly their time to actually get things going, but it didn't happen. So it's a little bit late in the game, but hopefully this might be a continuing trend for Infuse. If they could continue to get those type of pickoffs, then maybe they have a chance of getting back into this game.
And if ever in the team clash does happen, it will be really a powerful tool for Infuse with that Zac and Zyra. But if they fail to take down any high priority targets during that time frame, that's going to give members of TNC a chance to fight back. Here is Burst though, escapes with the lantern. The Infernal Drake is live. Let's see who takes it.
A little bit trigger happy there. Elastic slingshot.
Okay, will we see a repeat of Endless Ace denying the play? He's a bit too far, goes in onto Lando. Here's the now kiss moment, but the Infernal Drake is still being picked up. Hero's entrance for a knockdown, 3-man knockdown, but here it is. High is there for the crit shots and a double kill for Burst, and now this is going to spell trouble for Infused Esports. Forced to back away, Panthers left with no carries to protect.
Oh man, Garena
so
almost getting into, but yeah, I mean, Infused Esports is actually all, I could kind of see what they were going for. The problem was, like I mentioned, it all comes down to the fact that TNC is way ahead, that even though technically, if they were actually even up, that actually potentially would have gone in their favor. But the problem is, like I mentioned, the snowball is just absolutely insane. So Infused, actually, probably that was a little bit too forced in a way. I kind of get why they would want to contest that dragon, but considering the situation that they're in right now as far as standing, it's not just going to happen.
Yeah, 417 scoreboard with 3 Drakes,
so
4 TNC.
Let's go ahead and see what happened here. Infused Esports actually, it was actually Calculated that was trying to get some level of initiation on. He actually went for that dragon pin here, but because of that, it actually allowed the members of TNC to go in onto the backline. And that's technically the vulnerability, if that's the weakness of Infused Esports right now. So TNC clearly capitalizing on that. And again, it's a continuing trend here. That's quite worrisome for Infused right now.
Man, you start a fight that you can't finish, why even start a fight?
Exactly.
This is the sickness that Infused Esports has right now coming into the second match of Game 1. When you see members of TNC really outshining you in the laning phase, you gotta accept it, swallow it up. You cannot engage them. What are their winning conditions, by the way, Artie? I mean, right now, their winning conditions is outside the window so far in the first phase of the game.
Oh, man.
Entering the mid game, what can they do?
Exactly, what can they do? Because the 5v5, like I mentioned, that was supposedly a strength that they had. Because TNC is ahead, it's clearly something that's moot right now. That being said, if they could continue those small pickoffs, because that's technically their avenue to try to get back into this game, just try to get small pickoffs, try to find members of TNC that are out of position maybe, but again, it's just so tricky for them. And in order to do that, you clearly need some level of communication and coordination between members, but it's something that's somewhat lacking right now in Infuse. And I'm not sure if they even have the finesse or potential to even pull off what small win conditions, what small windows they have to try to get back into this game.
Sidestep coming from high. He does cleanse away and flash away from the Let's Bounce. Calculated, invested too much time, and here comes Endless Ace, denies him again! Was afraid that's gonna hurt inside.
Oh man,
and the current calls to finish up that beautiful engage. TNC is cleaning up the top lane like they own it.
Oh no, and TNC, this might actually be their call for the Baron take. And once they get that, it's almost 99% game over for Infuse Esports. I mean, TNC is just so ahead right now that even the smallest ways to get back into this game is almost moot for Infuse Esports, that it's so tricky for them. And with this Baron take, it only solidifies that all the more for TNC.
And now for the Baron, the first Baron goes to TNC. I think with this tremendous lead, more of a Titanic lead. I wonder how Infused Esports.
So again, I'm really loving these plays from Endless Ace, I gotta mention. It's been denying a lot of calculated steals, escapes, you name it.
It's like, ooh, my calculated senses are tingling. He's gonna go in. Ooh, no, I deny it with a flay.
Oh man, and you know, since they have been teammates, I wouldn't be surprised if Endless Ace kind of developed those types of senses.
They have this telepathy. It's like they're twins. Surrogate twins. Now they know what they're thinking. Wait, I smell calculated. Even if I'm in another room, I know what he's doing right now. And that's what happened there. 2 times he denied that. That play, I think that's gonna really throw anyone off, especially an ex-teammate like Calculator.
Exactly, and you know, this is what I'm talking about. Endless Ace, the jack of all trades, one of the really showing up. Again, this is what I really like. He plays it so smart. And we're finally seeing plays, especially on the Thresh. This is technically a champion that requires a certain a high skill cap in a way to really be, so this is that you can be creative as how you can make plays. And Endless Lake's clearly demonstrating that, really showing that he is one of those players which is mechanically gifted, high skill cap, able to maneuver such high skill cap champions such as Thresh. But oh no,
Again. That's going to be a flash done for Sachi, but still he gets taken down. With Calculated though, escaping with full health.
Oh man, you actually mentioned that that was the first Baron of the game. I feel like this might actually be the first and last Baron that we'll be seeing.
Oh, here comes the buzzer. Is there? I don't think that magic shit's going to help you. Teleport play? Oh, it would be the heroic entrance though. Flashing away.
The hope and the prayer.
Yeah, look at that Sonic Boom out of that top lane.
Oh man.
Oh, there we Sonic go, Wave though. Yikes, there's a ghost in for Envy. Lando though still apprehensive and tagged. Will he stack it in time? One more decimate. No, he does not reach it. That's going to be a penalty for Lando. Easily kited, and there's a flash from Envy, but the minions, will they help out? And there's a teleport from Panders, extending the team fight for Infuse Esports. Here it is, Sachi and Panders invested so much time.
Exactly. Infuse technically does.
Look at that. Oh, there comes. Where's the candy? It's right here, guys. Here, 2 members gets kidnapped towards the mid lane and never returned. But here is the SWAT team from Endless Ace rescuing his teammate.
Oh man, here we go though.
Battle of ADX. Oh god. Endless Ace gets slow. There's the explosive cast, but it kind of worked in favor of Calculated. Here's my revenge. I'm gonna take it, and with Liar picking up the kill.
Yeah, it's 7-21 now on the scoreboard. TNC at this point, this is almost, I'm not exactly, I'm not even sure how to put it. I mean, sure, Infuse actually got a few pickoffs, but whether or not that actually contributes to the bigger picture of coming back into this game, they have a long way to go if they want that to happen.
This will be the 3rd Infernal Drake that's up.
Oh no.
If Infuse Esports, they don't want to give it. If TNC gets this third stack, that's just bad trouble. And there's the smite secure with Calculated going over the wall.
Oh man, look, did you see that heal onto Hayes?
Yikes.
That was absolutely insane. Absolutely speechless. Like, but yeah, TNC, I mean, they're just really showing up in this game. They clearly don't want to concur any more losses after that. You know, because like last week, they went 0-2. So clearly a team that is in it to win it. They want to avoid any further losses and clearly showing up against Infused Esports.
Yeah.
And, you know, at this point, I feel like there's not really much Infused Esports could do to try to get back into this game. If anything, this is what they could actually do is try to learn from what mistakes they actually made as far as the early game. Try to use that to come back into game 2. Because TNC is on fire at this point.
I mean, when it comes to the second game, TNC has to respect that. A player like Burst, he gets a first blood, marks the territory as the bot lane as his. He is going to just destroy it. Just going to show with the 253 KDA on their ADC Liar. Not to mention the mid laner, Envy. 052 not dictating what he should have done in the early phase of the game. One of the most powerful tool in initiating is gone. With TNC stacking up a lot of health. Very beefy right now.
Oh my
Oh god, Lando though, in a big trouble. Double CC, triple CC, he gets knocked up again. Gets healed by the Decimate, but he'll be high with the critical for the assist. Oh, a deny with the heroic entrance coming from Endless Ace. A big trouble, and now that would be a Cell Division passive. Not respecting the damage coming from Hayes. A cleanup. Give him that Penta. Where's the Penta?
Deny!
Ah, come on! But I guess that's it.
High? Why you do this?
But man, the burst coming from Hayes was just incredible. I mean, the Ramadan's death cap, 2 Infernal Drakes, the huge lead they got from the bot lane to secure them those crucial Infernal Drakes, and that concludes the first game. Congratulations to TNC for having a good start in the second match of the second week of the PGS.
Indeed, indeed, indeed. What a way to go. 7-27 on that scoreboard. I mean, that's a great way to pick up the momentum for TNC right there. But of course, you know, we still have a game 2, so there's a lot of room for Infuse to try to get back into that game. Probably, they might need to rethink how they drafted their roster for that game.
Yeah, they also have to rethink their bottom lane.
Yeah, I mean, the strategy definitely. How, again, it's all about the win conditions here. What you should, it's not just about what you should be doing, also what you should not be doing. And there were a lot of things that went wrong for Infuse Esports at that point, and it's definitely a learning lesson for them, I'd say, if they really want to get back. If they want to make this a 1-1, there's a lot of adjustments that need to be made. And hopefully they manage to figure it out within the short span of time that they have between the break. So yeah, let's go ahead and check out what happened here. So look at this. Across the board, beautiful KDAs for TNC. Everything is positive.
10-0-10.
So
look at Hayes, 10-0-10. I mean, that's the even number you want, not 10-10-10, a 10-0-10.
yeah, man. And Hayes, though, again,
Wow.
this is what I'm preaching. One of the best, one of the rising mid laners for the PGS right now. Look at the damage on that Vladimir.
Wow, does not even compare towards the whole teams of Infused.
Oh my
Not to
god.
mention, we're seeing a lot of damage dealt by Lando for the bleed, but Hayes with the Vladimir, you gotta respect that.
Definitely a lot of respect indeed, and just goes to show TNC not a team you want to mess with, not a team you want to underestimate with such fresh talent. If anything, this is one of the teams that they've been here for one split. They have a lot of promising talent on their roster, and I'm expecting a lot of great things for them later on this split. But of course, that concludes game 1 for our second matchup for today.
So guys, there you have it. That concludes the first game. We do have our second game after a short break. You have to just watch the Pro Gaming Series 2017 Summer Split. Drive your energy, and we'll be back after a short break. Press, but also the current call. Change of tide, maybe not. It would be Infused Satin taking up a kill with Birds getting a trade-off. Target is still very healthy, still going straight in, but Liar lacks that damage. Calculating in for steal. Will he go for it? Here comes the dive, but gets denied by play. Endless Ace did the really dirty work there. Just foiling the effort for the top lane. Lando will join shortly, but will be in time. We do see that Lando is stuck between 4 members of Team Infused Esports. It would be Sachi going in for an escape maybe. Now he's trying to find though. There is the hero's entrance, but the critical misses. Sachi dodges everything, but it'll be Lando securing the kills and cleaning now with a double kill dog, making a triple. That is a triple and a flash in crit shot. He's a bit part goes in onto Lando. Here's the now kiss moment, but the internal trick is still being picked up. Hero's entrance for a knockout, 3-man knockout, but here it is. High is there for the crit shot and a double kill for Burst, and now this is going to spell trouble for Infused Esports. Forced to back away. Panthers left with no carries to protect.
Oh man, Vertical almost getting into, but yeah, I mean, Infused Esports is actually all. I can kind of see what they were going for. The problem was, like you mentioned, it all comes down to the fact that TNC is way ahead. That even though technically, if they were actually even up, that actually potentially would have gone in their favor. But the problem is, like I mentioned, the snowball is just absolutely insane. So Infused, actually, probably that was a little bit too forced in a way. I kind of get why they would want to contest that dragon, but considering the situation that we're in right now as far as standing, it's not just going to happen.
Yeah, 417 scoreboard with 3 drakes, and
So
that concludes the first game. Congratulations to TNC for having a good start in the second match of the second week.
is no escape. Only oblivion. When we come for your world, do not fight. The universe is vast, and our hunger insatiable. You only prolong the inevitable. Nothing escapes the pull of eternity. Let's see how dark it can really get. A dark star rises. Your efforts are meaningless.
There is no salvation.
Nowhere left to run. Become one in death. Hey there, little guy. Aren't you the sweetest thing? Yes, yes you are.
Unleashed. Ready, Hammer? Up we go! I love it when a plan comes together. Hold up!
breath from them. My pleasure. Is that fear I smell?
Kid, you copy?
Yep.
Tip the variables in our favor.
You chose the wrong side.
Stand down or be put down.
You never see this coming. Catch!
Recon loop initiated. We aren't weapons. We're human beings. So long as you refuse to obey, you are human. Join the resistance.
Chosen of the moon.
Art should terrify. They won't survive. Ha! There's nowhere to hide. Blood red.
We'll bring them pain. They will suffer.
Nowhere to hide. Got them in my sights.
Is that all they've got? Bring me a real challenge. My journey's only beginning.
Let's finish this quickly.
Are the Vanguard.
prophecies are true. Darius has arrived.
5-day forecast, sunshine, rainbows, and Garena signing off!
The real athlete is on the court. You can leave now. It's game time. Eat it. Rewind that, Zillion. I want to see it again.
Please speak directly into the microphone.
Too easy. Dunk me! If there isn't any dunking, it isn't a sport.
Set phasers to